And so we get a call, and they fly us up from Columbia Records. They fly us up to New York. This is August of 2001, I want to say. Or it's August of 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And they fly us up to New York, and the first time I ever had a car pickup, there was a guy in a black suit.
Yeah, Mr. Lymon,
With a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get in the car, and they take us to this posh hotel on the Lower East Side. I didn't have to pick up any of my bags or anything. Yeah. Walk in the door, the first person I see in there is Cameron Diaz.
Oh, wow.
And so they take us to this room. They take us up to these. There are rooms called SIR, they're practice rooms, and they're rooms where major label artists go to practice their shows before they go out on tour.
Yeah.
And so that's where we went to go do this. It's called a showcase.
Mm-hmm.
And I call my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, Emily. And I tell her, I'm on a payphone, by the way.
Yeah, oh, sure, yeah.
And I'm on a payphone, and I'm telling her how cool this is. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. I can't believe we're here. I can't believe all this is happening. And somebody walks up. This lady walks up, and she's got a scarf on her head, and I literally thought it was like custodial staff.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm talking to my wife, and I'm looking over, and I'm talking to her, and I look at this lady because she's waiting to get on the
payphone. Sure.
She wants to make a quick phone call. And I look over, and I look back, and I was like, Em, you're not going to believe this. I'm standing next to Mary J. Blige. Standing next to me, and she looks like one of my aunts right now.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like, I can smell her perfume right now. And so we do this showcase. I walk into the room. All of our stuff is set up, that we have, and we start the show. We start doing this thing, and in walks the president of Columbia Records at the time, who was Will Botwin. And I was told that people will be on that label for years and never see this guy.
Yeah.
Here he was. He walked right in the room, sat down. We got through the first song, and he's like, "Okay, cool, do the stuff." And he just walked out. It's nice meeting you. That's great.
Yeah.
Make it happen. He walks out of the room, and they shuttle us around Columbia Records, and they have the marketing team and all these people come in, and they're all telling us what's about to happen. Hey, we're going to take this song, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and then you're going to do this, and we're going to bring this guy, Mark Dave Matthews. We think you're similar. And they laid out everything that they were about to do this. And I'm literally like, the world is spinning around my head.
Yeah.
And I remember after that, we leave that building, and I walk around, and I always say it was Central Park, but I don't know if it was or not. In my mind, it was Central Park. I went to some grassy area near where we were, and I literally said a prayer. I was like, God, this whole thing is about to change. Like, this is about to be, this thing that I wish for is about to happen. Is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this the thing that I'm supposed to do? And we get back home. And the next thing that we had on the books was a gig at Tulane University, a big outdoor festival. And I get on that stage, and I'm repulsed by what I was doing with every fiber of my being. And it was the thing that I love to do. I was the most positive guy in the group about what getting started. Like, dude, let's just stick this out. It's gonna happen. Let's stick this out. I almost walked off the stage. I couldn't do it anymore. It was a complete 180 flip. I couldn't do it anymore. In my heart, I couldn't do it anymore. And I don't know what it was.
You don't know. Something changed.
It just changed.
Hmm.
It wasn't a gradual thing. It was
Mhm.
a switch that was flipped.
Mhm.
And we had scheduled some off time
Mhm.
after this performance. And off time for us was like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And we got home. At the time, I lived in Hattiesburg. The lead singer lived in Atlanta. Bass player lived in Nashville, and the drummer lived in Detroit. That's where
Wow. Yeah.
That's where we said we lived. We lived
Sure.
together. I mean,
yeah.
But
But your mail got sent to those places. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And literally the day after I got back home, I called them all up and said, "I'm done, guys."
Hmm.
They're like, "What do you mean done?" I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm through.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
This is not what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be teaching kids and making my difference that way. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I can't be more clear in my head about this."
How did you find the courage to make that call?
The courage was fueled by how definitive my disposition was on that choice.
Mm-hmm.
It was that there was no question in my mind that this was the right decision, or that this what I was supposed to do. I was compelled to do this.
Yeah.
And I've never understood when people say, "Well, God spoke to me," or "Jesus told me to do this," or I've never understood that. I don't understand that. And
Sure.
And I've been very open about that. I don't I at the risk of sounding blasphemous, because that's certainly not what it is. God is speaking to people in a physical sense, or in a sense that's detectable by anybody. I want to know what that is, because I want to experience that.
Sure.
But if I had any experience that I could akin to what people tell me that they've experienced, it would have been that, because there was no logical explanation for me having that 180 in one day, other than I asked, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And if so, I need to know now, because things are about to happen fast.
Wow.
I guess I will leave that up to anyone else to draw conclusions. But if I've ever felt led by a situation, it was that. And I called the guys up and I said, and I felt uncomfortable, but not me being emboldened by my choice. Gave me the confidence to say it in earnest.
Well, you didn't have a choice. You could not do it.
Right. There was no way I could do another show.
Yeah. And I mean that is in theological terms, there's a word called ontological change. Something your innards change, something inside of you changes.
Right.
And you can't not do it.
Right.
Like you don't when I started the ministry, when I first started becoming a preacher, there have been times since I've preached that if God would have released me, I would be doing something else.
Right.
There's been several times in my ministry where I've literally prayed, God, if I don't know that I can do this any longer, I can't not do it.
Right.
Like me not doing this is not an option. And so there comes a point where God has something on us. And it's not always overtly spiritual. Like it's not sitting in the sanctuary and the light breaks perfectly through the stained glass window and it lands upon it's just you just know it. You just know it. You just can't.
Right.
You just don't know. You can't articulate it. You just know that's what I've got to do.
And that's that's where I've arrived at in my reasoning with faith.
Yeah.
Is that I feel like what happens with faith and with our walk with Christ and being believers is that we always want to make things in the way that we understand them.
That's right. Yeah.
And in those efforts, we wound up making the thing unlike what it is, which is probably in its most distilled form something that we innately understand.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if
No.
I was too convoluted
No, I've heard someone put it like this: that the Lord's Prayer is so simple a child can memorize it, but so complicated a theologian can't understand it.
right.
Like there's something innate about the truth that we learn as children that we overly complicate as we get older.
Right.
And faith is. Dr. Bryson was one of my mentors in college, and he used to always say, Jesus is not hard to understand. Jesus is hard to follow.
Right.
And the essence of Christianity is not overly complicated. Like loving your enemies is not complicated. I just don't want to do it. You know, they're my enemies. I don't. As I tell people, if they weren't my enemies, they'd be my friends. I don't want to love my enemies. They're my enemies for a reason. But yeah, yeah, exactly. There's an innate sensing with a longing within us that we can't articulate.
Right.
And then those of us that like to explain it, I call it intellectual humility. I've had to humble myself intellectually a lot the last 10 years.
Yes. Yes. And for me, I'm a very logic-based person. One thing leads to this thing, and they're all connected. They're all connected based on how the one thing sets up the thing that comes after it. And whenever the logic train is broken, I have a real hard time with that. And there are some things that I found some things in my faith that don't make logical sense as it relates to how I understand them. And I find that's where most people are. They find themselves in a place where this doesn't make logical sense based on how I understand things. So let me just fashion this part that I don't understand into something that I can understand so that I can get to the rest of it. When you keep doing that so much, then the thing turns into just something that you understand and not the thing that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I was younger, and I heard a preacher say one time that we've lost the mystery of God. We've made it. We're tangible, tactile people. We want things we need to understand. As humans, we want. I think that's why we find ourselves right now in the quarantine is so difficult, because we crave relationships. We crave. Right. Even. I mean, you and I are extroverts, so we got to talk. Like, this is driving me insane. You know, right. I need people. Like, right. I'm not a hugger. When we get out of this thing, I'm hugging everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a hug when I get released. You know?
You get a hug.
Everybody gets a hug. Yeah. But we all desire that. And so we want our faith to be so understandable that it becomes, we substitute morality for faith. Morality is, I'm a good person. I'll follow these rules.
I remember you talking.
Ipso facto, I'm in the clear. When Jesus says, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees, you're not in the kingdom of heaven. Jesus offers us not morality, but Jesus offers us righteousness. Righteousness says, I'm a pretty broken fella, but Jesus loves me. So I want to devote myself to him and love God and love neighbor. And I said before, I don't think God's worried about making us good people. God's worried about us loving Jesus, because you can be a good person and be far from God. And by good person, I mean following the rules. You can follow the rules and whatever the rules are, you know, and not have, as Paul said, if I surrender my body to the flames but have not love, I've accomplished nothing. If we love Jesus, he'll take care of the rules for us. If we follow the rules, we can become pharisaical and miss Jesus. And it's all about Jesus. It's all about Jesus.
And yeah, that's the thing that I think that one concept keeps people away from following Christ, and it keeps people from continuing on with their walk with Christ. Because I know for me, the thing with me is that I feel I'm a crummy person. Like, I mean,
no, I don't know if you're a crummy person. I'm a crummy person. I understand. Yeah.
And because of the way I'm able to articulate myself and I have a good bit of charisma when I talk to people, that's all that I am. And that's just a gift that I have. Mm-hmm. But man, I make so many mistakes, and there are things that I've done, and I go, man, mm-hmm. what am I doing? Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. and it makes me go, how can I be a representative of Christ when I still have this darkness or this thing that I screw up or this part of me? How can I, doesn't this make me a hypocrite? And then on the other side, someone watching on the non-believer says, well, look at this guy, he does this. Then if you're not perfect, then you must not be who you say you are.
That's right.
But that's the whole thing, is that I suck and I know it. Right. I know this.
Yeah.
I know that.
Paul said the very things I should not do are the very things I do, and the very things I should do are the very things I do not do. And that's part of, and I think the pretense we've got to come to as Christians is putting down this false narrative of having it all figured out. And I think that's where morality enters in. If I have to follow this rule, what makes me distinct from the world is the fact that I've got it all together. Well, I don't have it all together.
Exactly.
I really don't. I mean, I do the whole Jesus thing for a living, and I don't have it all together.
Right.
And that's okay. And if people need a preacher who's got to have everything together and figure it all out, then I'm not your guy. Like, there's a lot of folks on TV in the world that got it all figured out. I know what I believe. I love Jesus. I'm going to love you, but
yeah, and that's what I say.
I don't know, you know.
Right. That's what I say in my leadership. Mm-hmm. That if you want a guy who has it all put together and all crosses every I or dot C, I can't even get that right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Crosses every T. I'm not that guy. I'm not that person. I spent a good bit of my life being in a state of depression, mm-hmm. because I felt like I was supposed to be somebody that I wasn't, or mm-hmm. I wasn't living up to be somebody that I'm not.
Well, and I think too, you come from a place of being a bridge, and I grew up different than you did, but at the same token, I have the same compulsion to build that bridge.
Right.
So what happens is you can sometimes lose yourself in that.
Right.
And it took me years to really figure out who I was.
Yeah.
And I'm an imperfect vessel who loves Jesus and loves people. And I'm okay with that. And some folks like the fact that I'm pretty transparent, others don't. And that's okay too. That's okay. Right. I like that. Okay, right. That's okay. And I love one of my favorite lines about Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln said, "If I was two-faced, do you think this is the face that I'd wear?" I love that line. Isn't that a great line?
Yeah, it's great. And that's exactly how I see it, is that I feel like my specific leadership talent, or the thing that God gives me that I can do well, is that I can go into a situation of people who feel like they can't and say, no, you don't understand. Yeah. Not only can you, but you can do it better than anybody else if you want to.
That's right. And
because that's where I came from.
Yeah.
That's what I know. Right. I find myself in the middle of that situation because that's what I'm compelled. That's what I was designed to do. Right. You drop me into a town like Petal, Mississippi, who has nothing, by the metrics of nationally.
That's right.
But I look and I see all of these great people doing great things. I was like, hey, you want to show everybody that we're as good as them, if not better? Is everybody on board? But we can't. No. I didn't ask you what you thought about it. Like, do you want to? That's all I need to know. Do you want to? And can you stay on the ride? And and can you keep your hands and feet in the ride until the ride comes to a complete stop?
And
That's
so
what you want to do. That's what I'm about.
and
Am
so
I
Petal-
perfect?
Yeah.
I am not perfect. So let's get that up. Let's start right there. Sign this contract that you know I'm not perfect. I'm gonna try to be. I'm gonna learn from my mistakes.
That's right.
I'm gonna fall. I am not Jesus. I am not whoever it is that's perfect. I'm not that. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get better. I'm gonna try to be my best. And if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna come back the next day and I'm gonna try to do it again. And that's exponential growth through determination is that'll be on my gravestone.
Well, C.S. Lewis said the shame is not in falling down, the shame is in not getting back up.
Yeah.
You know, that's
so to speak on where I landed, I get this call from a band director at Petal High School. His name was Terry, or actually it was the percussion director there. And he says, I don't have time to write a percussion feature for this group. And I'm in full rock star mode. This is 1999. We had just gotten we had gotten back from Woodstock.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super rock star guy right now.
Yeah.
You know? And so I
you
get a call.
Limp Bizkit burned down Woodstock, man.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yeah. And so I wrote this percussion feature for them, and then I came in and he introduced me to the whole band. It's like, it's the guy from King Konga, like the whole. It was that thing at that time.
Yeah.
And so now moving forward, that was what motivated me. This is where I need to be. Mm-hmm. So to speak towards providing, it turns out that everything that I did in King Konga, which I was the marketing guy. I learned how to use Photoshop so that we could have posters and not have to pay a graphic designer. Yeah. I learned how to use this new thing called the internet to do these things called websites. I literally sat on our in our van when we were traveling all around, and I bought this big thick book called HTML, and I cover to cover, and I learned how to code websites of HTML for the band so that we could have a website. I learned the CD-ROM technology so that we could do that, which wound up getting us, that gig. I learned how to do video. Our tour manager, Dave Christ, had lived in Nashville and had some experience with it. He showed me a way around doing video and how to edit it and do all that stuff. So I learned graphic design, video editing, audio editing, sampling. I changed my whole life to do this marching band thing. Yeah. And now they're changing all the rules of marching bands where they're using printed stuff, 3D printed stuff for graphic design. They're using audio. Now they come out with full PA systems using samples. They're integrating video, which is something that I pioneered. Everything that I did in that band automatically transferred to what I'm doing now.
And so now Petal has a show last year where you have Daft Punk.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the thing, when they say the Lord will provide, that's a strong argument for it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And if you look at it, in the story that I've just told you, at every moment, there was somebody provided for me to get to the next phase of it all that I had nothing to do with. I didn't ask them. I didn't. They were there. They were there for me.
That's right. That's right.
How can you argue against it?
That's right.
Are there that many coincidences that happen in concert?
That's right. That's right. Well, it goes back to you should not be doing what you're doing. Like statistically, you should not be who you are. You shouldn't be.
It beats all the numbers.
It really does. It beats all the numbers. Now, listen, you've also worked your butt off. You've had opportunity, you've seized it. So you have,
Right.
What's the old saying? Luck often wears overalls and looks like hard work. So you worked hard, but you've had doors open that should not have opened for you.
Right.
But
my question is, if this was provided for me, why me? Is it provided for everyone else and they just don't take it? And what made me have the sensibility to accept all of these things along the way, and what impedes others from being able to see these things if they are in fact provided for them? That's the greatest question that I have. Yeah,
and I wonder the same thing, because I tell people I should not be where I am.
Right.
I should not be married to the wife that I'm married to, having the kids that I have. I shouldn't have the ministry that God has blessed me with. I've done nothing to deserve it, obviously.
Right.
I've worked hard, but I've not. There's folks who work as hard as I am. There's folks who are more talented than I am. I'm just a guy.
What made you be the one in Bogachita that followed all of the things that were provided for you, and why was it you?
I don't know. That to me is always, as you said, that's the thing I don't have an answer to. And so, but what I do think, okay, there comes a I think we just assume that I think there comes okay, when your director asked you earlier, do you want this? Work for it. Would everybody work for that? No. Everybody would not have worked for it.
Yeah. And I think everybody would have said they would, just to get what they wanted.
That's right. And then, so I do think, now listen, there are many who do not get provided opportunities. Let's be very clear. You and I both have been blessed. We've both been extremely blessed, incredibly blessed. That I've had a Mickey Myers who looked after me when I was a kid in school. That I had a Mr. Willis. I've had teachers in my life. I've had Bill Pools and Stan Landrum's preachers growing up. I've had people like that who have poured into me. I've had since I've been in ministry, I've had people who said to me, "Hey, I see something in you. I'm going to pour into you." When there's no reason to pour into me. I'm not significant. Why would? But I think for us, the question is not always why me, because there's never an answer to that question. I think the question then becomes, well, what am I going to do with it?
Right.
How am I going to impact? Because the Bible says we've all been shown light, and so I do think everybody has. I do think there are pivotal moments in everyone's life. Not, and there's some people that never get that chance, but I do think many people do get the chance, and for whatever reason, through God's undeserved grace, here we stand. And so I've got to know you all as in Petal, and I mean, my kid has been blessed by band in manifold ways. Both my kids.
And think about it. We met, your kid got in band, you moved away, and your kid's being taught by somebody I taught.
Well, and to be very blunt, I texted Justin this one day, that he's the reason we moved to Germantown, honestly. And the reason why I wanted my kids to know Justin Harbison was because of Tony Lymon. That's the reason. To be very honest, the reason, as much as difficult it was moving from Petal, because we loved it there, one of the things that gave us hope moving to this part of the world was the fact that you believed in Justin so much. So I said, okay, if Tony believes this guy, then I believe in him. And your hope was well justified.
Absolutely.
And so I'm thankful every day for the Germantown band program. I mean, I'm wearing my shirt right now, it's exactly right. So, so your life affected his life. Well, his life's affected my life. His life's affected my child's life. Both Sarah and Thomas.
And then both of them are going to take that.
That's right.
So it's like four I can trace this back to the band director in Greenwood, Mississippi.
That's right. Exactly right.
His his influence that one day
That's right.
has gone through Thomas.
That's
I
right.
mean,
Seriously. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so
and I think the whole premise of what you're doing is called the difference.
that's right.
Look at that.
That's
Look
right.
at, I mean, that guy could have walked by
That's right.
and gotten his cheese sandwich in the lunch line earlier by 3 minutes.
That's right. And or he could have seen you up there and said, "Oh, I hate it for that kid," but you know.
Yeah, he's probably gonna be an issue anyways.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
they don't have the commitment. They don't have the money.
Right. That's
I don't even want to deal with this. I'll just take all the kids who can.
That's right.
And then my statistics of being what I'm supposed to be would have I would have gotten closer to that. And because at some point I would have given up. At some point, there's an equation in psychology that says, I can't remember what it is, the amount of effort you put into something is directly related to the amount of benefit or output you're going to get into it. So the less benefit you feel like you're going to get in it, the less input you put into it. But if you put more into it, you get more out of it and all that. That whole ratio and correlation is a thing. So I may have gotten upside down in that equation if he'd have walked past me. If I'd been walked past enough times, I probably would still be in Mississippi or still be in Greenwood, Mississippi. Not that being in Greenwood, Mississippi is bad. I say being in that situation, in those circumstances, and allowing it to spiral me downward.
That's right. And that would have been the easier option, honestly.
Exactly. And it's easier to succumb to that kind of thing.
Now, I think the thing with it is why frankly, it wasn't you. It was the fact that there is goodness in the world, and there are people who believe. Mm-hmm. You know, and for whatever reason, it registered with you. You know, and by the way, so I'm sure the folks who mentored you, poured into you, also poured into others as well.
Yes.
You know, and so it was just that perfect. And so God has something for you. I mean, God's allowed you to do the things you've done and be who you are, and the ripples continue. Like you said, your band director in Greenwood is affecting my child to this day.
Right.
And so, well, I think I see dinner behind you, and we've been talking for a long time, and you need to spend time with your family. So I thank Tony. I thank you for your time. I thank you for talking with me tonight. I thank you for the difference that you have made in my family. I love you and your family like family. I'm thankful for y'all. I love y'all, and I'm thankful for the difference you made in my life. I really am.
Andy, I don't know of anyone I enjoy talking to more than you. You know, anyone who would watch this has to know that we're cutting this off just for you.
That's right.
You're watching this is for your benefit.
Literally for hours.
Would go for 5 hours.
Oh, easy.
Before we go, has it been an hour yet?
Yeah. We haven't even talked about music or any of the other stuff.
We're just talking. We were supposed to talk about one thing. This is
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. But you need to see your family. So
absolutely.
Thank you for all you do, and I appreciate you. Love you, family. Y'all have a great night, and this will be on the internet soon.
All right. Take care, Andy.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man. See you. All right. Bye.